All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
Macho Maron Koi Koi. Hello, and welcome into the Blood of the Podcast. Respected guests, Bloods of my blood. This is your host, Kyle, better known as KW Dent.
Yo, what's up? It's your favorite ice zombie, Lady Triple here.
Hope everyone is doing well this week. It is March 15th, 2020. I know it's been a crazy week for everyone with everything going on. So we're going to talk about it just right off the top of the dock here, top of the episode. I know with the virus going around, it's been really different for everyone here. I know in pre-production, Christina, you and I were talking about it, but hope everyone is doing well out there. You know, Christina, how has it so far? How's your week been? I guess I'll ask you to start off here.
Well, I'll say it's definitely been stressful as far as weeks go for me dealing with this, but I have a full-time work from home job, so I do have to, I'm very fortunate to have the lifestyle that I do, and I stay in a lot, but I've been dealing with like my family, and I
Mm-hmm.
have older parents that are living alone. So dealing with that has, given me a little bit of stress. But I just wanted to say, best wishes to everyone out there with dealing with what's going on. And I hope everyone stays safe and, healthy during this time. And best wishes to you and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Myself as well. We have, we've talked about it in the past. We have a lot of different kinds of people in the fandom. I know we have people in the fandom who are members of the healthcare industry who work in healthcare. We have people who are in the military who have been activated and are working now. And, from that perspective, thank you to all of you who are dealing with this and working through that. Our hope here at the podcast as we continue covering A Song of Madness, we're all connected through this thing that, we like to, take our minds off of whatever is going on in our lives. And that's all we hope that we can do for you here over the next 45 minutes to an hour is we're going to talk about A Song of Madness, have some fun talking about a fictional character tournament. But we do hope everyone's doing well out there, guys. Yeah, anything else to add here in our intro here, Christina?
I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we can
Awesome.
move on.
Yeah, moving into day 9, we are proud to announce our first sponsor of the tournament today, brought to you by Dunks Donuts. We do want to let you know that whether you're starting your day off in a good mood, in a happy mood, America runs, Westeros runs on Dunks. So, moving on to our first day of matchups. Our first matchup we had here was Arya Stark versus Aegon the Fifth Targaryen. This is going to be an interesting matchup that we're going to pay attention to moving forward as well because Arya won, but um, only a 22.3% margin that she won by, and that's good, right? She got 1,289 votes, 22.3% margin. Um, and Egg's a beloved character, but not a huge margin to start off for the two-time defending champion, right? I mean, what do you think about this one, Triple?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Egg is a beloved character, but he's not even
Yeah,
in the main series, right?
right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think this year, again, just because Arya's won a couple times before, she's losing a lot of the momentum
Hmm.
that, we've seen before.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing too. And again, look, I love Egg, but it's more of just Egg has never been on the television screen. I love Egg on the Fifth Targaryen. He's one of the better kings in Targaryen history, probably the second or third best king throughout that entire lineage. However, Arya, I think Arya could be in trouble as far as pushing on further into this tournament. She's currently ranked at, I think I've got her at 23 overall in win margin. Mind you, one vote. These things are going to stabilize. We're going to continue talking more about those win margins as we're moving more in. In the third round, we're finally going to have win margins that cover this. But, I wanted to take a second to just say Arya did not have a high initial win margin to start. We'll see how that holds through. Arya moves on to round 3 to face her daddy issues, Ned Stark himself.
Ooh.
Quick prediction, Christina. What do you think for that one?
This is not scientific at all. It's just off gut. I think if Arya, I think, I don't know. I feel like Ned is going to give her a challenge here. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that I think she'll pull it out because he did win against Bran, who, Bran made it, he didn't make it super far in the tournament. Ned made it farther than Bran did last year, but I think we'll continue to see this margin, just not be as great as it was in previous years.
Yeah, I think so as well. Um, and they're very close. So they move into the next round. Arya has a 22.3% win margin, Ned at a 21%. So very close, the two of them. I'll be curious to see. The math does favor Arya. But again, one thing we're going to track is we're tracking how many within the next round, is that going to be accurate, the average win margin? And my guess is that moving forward, it will continue to be more and more accurate. But again, we will see how that holds out. Our next matchup here, we had in the support staff department, Sandor Clegane versus Maya Stone. 2,100 votes here in this one. Sandor did pull it out. I had hoped maybe we could get a coalition for Maya, but the truth is I'm happy to see Sandor move on. Beloved character. We use that word a lot in this tournament, but honestly, I really enjoy what Sandor does in the story, both in the books and the show. He had 1,400 total votes, win margin of over 40%, so quite a large round two victory here for him. What did you think of this one here, Christina?
Well, yeah, I think Sandor, he's very loved in both the show and books. I always love the Gravedigger theory too. He's very discussed. He's got he does have mystery as far as I'm concerned. I have my own kind of theories about him being connected with R'Ohala and that whole side of things, and how he was able to kind of read the fires and what that could mean for him. Obviously there's hype with Clegane Bowl, so he's got a lot going on both in fandom and in the lore. And Maya, even though that's my beloved puppy's name, she's very sad. She's been very sad about this, but yeah, I've had a sad puppy this week. But
poor Maya.
Yeah, but see, you just kind of love him. He's a great character and a testament to George's writing.
Yeah, it really is. The way he's able to weave in a character like Sandor into his writing, I think, is really great. Our tweet regent for the week. So we pulled the tweet from this one from at Leechlord Bolton. Tweeted, Sandor protects Catelyn's children. Maya is baseborn like Jon, tomboyish like Arya, fierce like Rickon, believes in love and songs like Sansa, and a climber like Bran. She even has some of Theon's swashbuckler to her, Theon's swashbuckle to her, though Cat might not see it. So I pulled this tweet, thought it was really interesting that Maya kind of fits into all of those different things, right? That she's like a lot of the children of Winterfell. Wonder if that's on George's mind or if it's subconscious or not, but good tweet. Wanted to pull that one in there. Next up, will Joffrey's dog Sandor be able to take on Tyrion's loyal squire Podrick? Who do you think wins that one? Podrick v. Sandor?
I have Sandor. Just Sandor's more fleshed out. Again, what I said with the background. He's got theories. He's got hype. Yeah. He's got a lot. He's got chickens. He's connected to Arya. I think, again, characters that are Stark adjacent tend to do well as well. Yep. So I think he's got a lot going for him to be a power contender in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. Stark adjacent. That's a good way of putting that, right? Where they're connected in some way with the Stark story. They play an important emotional role in the story. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very true here with Sandor. He is also our, by the numbers, right? Projected winner off of margin, 40% average margin to Podrick's 15. We'll see. I take Sandor as well. I'd be kind of surprised if he didn't personally, but we then had...
Oh, I was going to say, and again, if you think about their competitors going into the match, they were, relatively similar with, kind of a book-only character. I'm pretty sure Podrick faced, we'll talk about it later. Who didn't Podrick face Rhaenyra or Rhaenys? Sorry,
Yeah.
Podrick faced Rhaenys,
Mhm.
who so they kind of have similar previous matchups. So you can
Yeah.
kind of give a I think that allows you to better predict what, the win
Right.
margin.
Who did they face? Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we'll see how it works out, but yeah, I do agree. Our next matchup, we had Tywin versus Jaqen Hagar. This one came out. It was closer than I certainly expected. Tywin
Same.
did pull it. Yeah, I was surprised when I clicked on it to find it was this close, but Tywin he won 51.6% of the vote, so he won by a 3.2% margin to a I don't know, tertiary character in Jaqen Hagar. Tywin Lannister is incredibly interesting to the story, and for it to be this close, oh boy, it was close.
Yeah, he won by
Yeah.
a margin of 83, aka my 83 alt accounts. Just kidding, but it's kind of what it felt like. I was really upset when I
Yeah.
remember clicking on it at first, and I clicked on it because Tywin's my boy. If you know me,
Oh yeah.
I love Charles Dance. Particularly, it's funny because me and Ashea from History of Westeros are we traveled to Ireland together, and we were always arguing about Tywin Lannister. And she goes, he had mutton chops and was bald in the book. And I go, what? I don't understand what you mean. I go, I'm charging. I go, no, you see, in my versions of the books, like every description of Tywin Lannister is replaced with descriptions of Charles Dance because that is canon to me. I'm sorry. I mean, how could you not love him? And
Yeah.
I was really upset and shocked when I saw that he was losing as much as he did.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our tweet regent, which I picked out this time because this really summed up my feelings about it.
Mhm.
And this is from I don't know how to change names or which I don't know what that's about, but good for you. All caps. It's okay to vote for villains that you love to hate. It really is okay. A vote is not approval of the bad things. It's appreciation for the writing, which I have to say, can that be tattooed on my face?
Yeah. I mean, you could
That
in
is what
theory
I
get it
feel
tattooed.
like. I'm voting. I vote for me for like the better quality character,
Yeah.
the ones that are more entertaining to me versus
Right.
this character did bad things, unless I like super hate them for it. But it's not. I don't hold grudges like that. I go, oh, if this is a really well developed character, kind of like Euron. Like I voted.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I voted for Euron over Asha because I just like book Euron so much. I think he adds so much to the story in a
Right.
way that Asha. I love Asha, but like she just doesn't do it for me. Like I mean, I'm not talking. We're talking about the Forsaken chapter over and over and over.
Yeah.
We're talking about Asha, 3.
Right. No, what yeah, I definitely agree. And Emmett from the Nauticast tweeted out talking about this week too, specifically about Tywin, just saying that, you might hate Tywin, you should hate Tywin, but what he serves to the story, dude's phenomenal. I mean, the entire Lannister dynamic from a narrative perspective is delivered through what has happened to Tywin in his character, right? If you didn't have Tywin, the story would think about how different the story would be without Tywin. Who are some of your favorite characters? Jaime, Tyrion, probably even Cersei. I love Cersei myself. Without Tywin and that, I think the words Emmett used was pressure cooker for the Lannister regime that he creates, right? That's what Tywin is, and it has an immense effect on the story, and that's why we love these characters, and that's why I love and appreciate what Tywin delivers to the story. And the more we're talking about it, and I won't go on too long about it, but as we go through Feast Dance, Christina, and we're looking at these Lannister chapters, they're some of the most fascinating ones to me because of what's left behind by Tywin Lannister and now his children who are now moving through the rest of the world. So yeah, he does luckily move on. I do think this will be the end of Tywin as he moves on. Next up, we have the Good Queen versus the Bad Hand. Alysanne versus Tywin. Gotta think Alysanne will win that one, right?
I mean, I'm here for that bad hand, if you know what I mean.
You wrote that. You teed me up for your own joke.
And I couldn't help myself. Sorry.
Yeah,
I stand a Tywin. I can't help it.
I think he's gonna be gone. And right now, that would actually. So this is an example, right, where these stats are going to, make more sense as we move forward. They're going to stabilize. Where Tywin does have a slightly higher average win margin than Alysanne. Tywin's at 3.2%, Alysanne at 1.2. She had that close matchup with Lyanna Stark. But I think Ally's gonna win. I mean, if Tywin can barely get by Jock and Hagar, I got to imagine that Alysanne Targaryen, the good queen's gonna move past him pretty easily there. But again, yeah, we will see. We then had, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I have to agree, but also will be very interesting because this might be the farthest. This might be the last kind of, book/histories only character will make it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be. They haven't fared spectacularly well this tournament. And yeah, I think Alysanne, if she could make it to round 4, that would be the top, just 32, I guess. So, but yeah, we'll see. We then did have Brienne of Tarth versus Syrio Forel. No surprises in this one. Guys, I think Brienne, I've said it, I think could win this Warriors bracket personally. She had 79.3% of the vote in this one. Love you, Syrio. You were an excellent first sword of Braavos, but you're not getting by the first sword of Westeros, Brienne of Tarth. 2,000 votes in this one, 1,592 total for Brienne. That was the second highest in the tournament so far in a single round. 58.6%. Our tweet regent we had from the Close the Door podcast, who big fans of Brienne and Jaime over there they are, tweeted at us. I mean, obviously, Brienne is our guest of choice. You might think she's too shy, but you can't tell me our girl wouldn't be up for a 5-hour podcast where we all discuss that incredibly hot and appealing asshole, Jaime Lannister.
So. I felt, raise your hand if you felt personally attacked by this tweet. Or just called out. Yeah.
Raising
it's me. Yeah, those are my, hand me like the feeling pillow because this is exactly my feeling. I love the 5-hour podcast.
Yeah, but, especially with Jaime. What is it about Jaime? I have this thing for Jaime too, and I can't go into all my Jaime feelings here, but I do love Jaime Lannister. Brienne will move on again. No surprise, she's one of the favorites right now. We'll see how things go, but I think Brienne can make it far into this tournament. Next up, Brienne wasn't able to beat Loras in the battle for Renly's heart, but she is able to win your affection. But is she able to win your affection? I hadn't read that. You got me halfway through with the Renly's heart bit, but yeah. I think Brienne is going to dunk on Renly, yes?
Oh, definitely.
Or on Loras, not on Renly.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, womp womp. No, she doesn't want to dunk on Renly. She's Renly. No, but I love this because she beat Loras in the joust, and now, but Loras, won Renly's heart, and now she's coming back to get her vengeance. But yeah, I think this will be a stomp.
Yep. And I think that the average margins kind of show here, right? Brienne, again, it's one matchup, but she's got a 58.6% average margin of victory. Loras has a 5.6%, and I think that's going to hold through, that you're going to see Brienne really light this one up here. So yeah, that was our first day of matchups here. Moving into day 10, our first matchup was Ned Stark versus his son, Bran. Who has a better story than Bran, guys? Well, he is now out of the tournament, unfortunately. Our total vote in this one, we had 2,100 votes total. We started to see some higher vote totals. We're seeing some bigger names come into the tournament, and we're getting over that 2,000 threshold a little more often now. Eddard did have 1,280 votes himself. He won by 21%. I wasn't super surprised to see Eddard win. Nothing against you, Bran Flakes, but Ned Stark is certainly, despite the fact he has 15 total chapters in the entire series, he is the main character of the first novel. He's still, it's one of these things where Ned is gone from the narrative, but he still feels a part of it. Does that make sense, Christina?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you read the books and just how much his children, each, all of them rely on his guidance and, think of him and his words, and that helps shape their decisions, which is helping shape the narrative as well. And then also that he, held on to the secret about John, and he was, really, besides Howland Reed, right, the only one who really knew what was going on there and held this secret to the, I mean, just a very legendary character. And his death is some, one of the, I'm not going to say the first huge shot. I don't know. It's the first kind of gasping, holy crap, did this really happen? I'm going to go look ahead and see if he's got any chapters left, or is he coming back? Because I think for me, like when I am getting people into the series, I usually pin Viserys's death as kind of the first shocking death. So I'm not going to say he's the first shocking death, but I think Ned was the first death where you're like, holy crap, like it's a main character where you really like are shocked at the loss.
Yeah, he's the main character. He's got 15 deaths. Gosh, sorry. Sean Bean maybe, but not at our start. Yeah, it definitely is that first point that I think when the show was being developed, and that first episode 9 that we got with it, that was that first moment that people realized this is a different story that we have here with Ned Stark, and it permeates and this is all to George's credit, that Eddard Stark and his ability to his view and being in the books permeates through thousands of more pages. That's no easy thing for a writer to do, for this character to be gone for so long and still feel like they matter. They're in John's head. Sansa, Arya, Bran, they still matter to the text so much, and Bran is still alive and in the text, so I'm not like downplaying Bran or anything. But anyway, Eddard Stark does move on. Our tweet regent here, in this tweet just got me, where Amy Gatehouse said, in this was a very close vote, right? It was very close for most of the day, and Amy Gatehouse just tweeted, Ned is just ahead, and that one got me there. Sad, Ned is unfortunately just ahead. No, Beric Dondarrion cannot bring him back even just once, unfortunately. Next up, Ned wasn't able to save Arya in King's Landing, but will he be able to make for it and help her out in round 3? We're going to have Ned, we talked about it earlier, versus Arya. Yeah, we'll see there with that one. What did I say earlier? See, now I think Ned will... I don't think I said who I think would win. I think Ned might win that, but I think it's going to be really close. They're really close in that average margin, and yeah, so we'll see. If you had to pick, did I get your pick earlier? Who do you think in that one?
Yeah, I said Arya, but he's going to impact her win margin. I think she's just got a weaker showing this year, which I've been voting against her every time just because she's won twice. It's not her year.
Yeah,
get out of here! Get out of here!
Get out of here!
Get out of here!
Out of here! I think so. Just kind of, we might have even talked about this earlier, but she'll face Ned. If she manages to stumble by Ned, I think it will be within a percent or two of the vote. And then she'll face, I believe she'll have the opportunity to face Sansa at that point. And I think she faced Sansa last year, and it was, I think, a 1 or 2% vote. I think Sansa's going to get her this year, our Queen in the North. If that does come to fruition, we'll see. But our next matchup, we had Podrick Payne versus Rhaenys Targaryen. So this is Rhaenys the First Targaryen, as I call her, wife of Aegon the First, the Conqueror. Pod moved on in this one. Podrick Payne, Pod the Rod, whatever you want to call him, 58% of the vote. He got low vote total get, 1,090 here, 16% margin over Rhaenys the First. We talked about this last time. You said you thought Pod would win. Did I say? I think I might have bet you Rhaenys. Did I do that one? Possible.
No, I thought we did.
We did a couple.
God, we gotta double check that. No, I'm not sure.
I will. We'll just round it up to $10 a bet, and then once we get to the convention at some point in the future, we'll just owe each other that in drinks. So, Did you want to read our tweet regent here for this one?
Well, I was gonna say, should I just start a tab?
Yes, yeah, just do. Start a tab.
I'll start a tab. All right, so our tweet regent is Brian of Farce. He said, I said it before, but Pod didn't know what to make of a dog named Dog is my favorite line of the series. It's damn cute. Vote for Pod. I love that. Pod is just so cute. You just want to pinch his cheeks. And
I love Pod.
He's just got so much. Yeah, he's adorable. And, apparently he's got the magic stick.
Show Pod.
Yes, screw Lightbringer. Pod up in here.
Yeah, I do love me some Podrick Payne. He's up next time. The Squire who remembered his vows versus Sandor, like we talked about earlier. We'll see how that one goes. And then another one we kind of briefed on here earlier, Alysanne Targaryen versus Lyanna Stark. This was a very low margin of victory. Close one of our closer ones of the round. Alysanne got 50.6% of the vote to Lyanna's 49.4%. So that was just a 1.2% margin here on this one. I was really torn on this one. I have here, I must have voted for Lyanna, but yeah, I didn't know where to go. Who'd you vote for in this one? I'm not sure that I know, actually, even.
Me?
Yeah. Well, do you remember?
You want to out me? No.
Yeah. I'm
no, I voted for Lyanna. I voted for Lyanna just because I had a. Well, see, now I have to wait till next year. She's in the tournament. I had an idea of a Filk for our @Litbringers. Please follow us on Twitter for our @Litbringers because we're bringing the lit and. Yeah, I had an idea of a Filk for her, but I didn't. Obviously, it's a really complicated thing that we're doing. If you can imagine, like the schedule of trying to work on Filks and like create videos for them, and we're having a blast doing it, but it's a lot of work. But I had an idea for Lyanna. I wasn't able to obviously like get it done with everything else that I was doing, so I wanted her to make it through so that I could do something for her next week. So she's not, so guess it's next year, baby.
Yeah, I did like this tweet from one of our tweet regents we had. This was from @Mizerk Gibble. Gosh, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Bloodraven Lunatic was their name when they posted this. They said, love Lyanna, but she's also an example of the infuriating trope of the idealized dead girl who exists only as backstory and motivation for the protagonist. So, good Queen Alysanne it is. Yeah, I think about this when I'm writing myself too, what trope are you writing? And so, yeah, good tweet. But we talked about next Alysanne versus Tywin. I do expect Alysanne to be our last historical figure moving on for that one. Anything else to add on this matchup here?
No, I think I do think it's an interesting thing, and that's what I love about this matchup, or not this matchup, but A Song of Madness in general, is that it really gets. I love the comments, I love the discussion, especially when you're pitting characters up against each other, even though it's not. It creates a unique umbrella for discussion, right? When you're comparing two people in a way and you have multiple minds kind of looking at it and giving perspectives on, this character versus that. And I do like what Michael, he's my friend. He's a member of Litbringers. So Michael here says is this idealized dead girl, and you think of how Eddard thinks about her, and Bobby B talks about her, and then Rhaegar, and and Arya's like compared to her, and now it's Jon's mom. So she is this she's on this pedestal as this amazing person, but she was so young. She was only 16. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, when I was 16, I was just like picking my nose and science class or whatever. So I don't know how you can make such an impact on so many different people and be so young and not just be remembered as some, just a 16-year-old girl. She wasn't a person yet. So
right. Yeah, she's almost like a canvas that a lot of this story is like written upon, right? Like her actions are very much behind the scenes, our protagonists, many of them don't understand what is going on with her, or what her story was. But to us, Lyanna's behind a lot of it. Certainly within all of the Stark storyline, which is a majority of the storyline, and certainly Jon and Arya's and many other characters. So, but yeah, so yeah, and this is the kind of thing I love, right? You get to talk about these characters that not that Lyanna's not talked about, but that's the great part of A Song of Madness is it brings out these discussions, which I really enjoyed. Our next matchup, we had Loras Tyrell versus Victarion Greyjoy. I didn't know how this one was going to go between the Tyrells and Greyjoys. Loras did take it 52.8% of the vote, so we had a 5.6% margin there. Again, this one was over 2,000 total votes. I think we briefed on it earlier in a previous episode that I wasn't sure how between the Greyjoys and Tyrells how this was going to go, but I guess we're going Tyrells. Vic's not a very sympathetic character, huh?
Yeah, I think a lot of this, and again, goes to the point that I don't know how to change my username made that voting for, at least for me, I voted for Vic, obviously, because I thought he's a more entertaining character. And yeah, he's dumb. Yeah, he's done horrible things and, been very unkind to women and, not someone I would ever want to hang out with or endorse in any kind of way.
Right.
But adds more to the story for me. He's more intriguing. If I had to pick who I would want, to get or deleted, just straight like delete backspace out of the entire story, and how would the story be impacted? I would say, Victarion Greyjoy being deleted would have a bigger impact on the story for me. Even though I guess Loras was in the show, I mean, Benioff and Weiss can at me on that one about which one they thought had was more worthy of being deleted. So that's my opinion on it.
No, I agree, and I think like when I read so again I'm going through Feast and Dance pretty consistently right now, and I'm always surprised how little the Tyrells actually are in it from a point of view perspective, right? Where even somebody like Marjorie, compared to the show, Marjorie is much more active in the show than she is in the books even. And I'm not saying maybe a lot of these things don't go on behind the scenes, but Marjorie has a lot more scenes in the show than she does in the books. And so you kind of almost, when you're reading, forget, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's right. Marjorie's, potentially up to a lot more, or, more was shown in the show. And it's kind of the same thing with Loras. But yeah, we'll see with that. Our tweet regent this week for this matchup was Pat Sponoggle, who we have read before here, one of our good friends. Finally, a match I don't feel bad about having to choose. I'm very fond of Victarion's chapters because he is a clown, which is very true. But I'm not so fond as to support him going forward. Loras Tyrell has my vote. I did vote for Vic, but yeah, I wasn't torn either way on this. So next round, we do have Loras versus Brienne, which we covered. Probably the end of Loras there. Moving into J11, we do have our next sponsor here. Very proud to announce our second sponsor. We wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by McFrainolds. Whether it's a large wedding or you just want a slice of Frey pie, McFrainolds is here. McFrainolds, have it your Frey. Really appreciate you there, McFrainolds. Good work. Moving into our next matchup here, we had a tournament favorite showing back up, Davos Seaworth versus the old King Jaehaerys Targaryen. No surprise here. Davos is here to stay for at least a little while, although we'll see he's got a tough matchup we'll cover here in a sec. Davos won this matchup, huge margin of victory, skyrocketed himself up towards the top of the list, 81.1% margin, or 81.1% of the vote, which is not the margin that I put down, but a very large margin of victory here for Davos Seaworth. Not expected to see him. 80+% of the margin against Jaehaerys is a little surprising, I would say. Jaehaerys is a very, recognizable character from a book. However, Davos, again, he's been in the final all 4 years, right? No surprise here. Surprise, Christina?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's going to take somebody, big to undo Davos this year.
It
And
is.
yeah, I was going to say, and it may be coming this challenge may be coming sooner rather than later, because I've got a question for you, Kyle. Okay. Onions or lemons?
Am I cooking or what am I making? That's what depends. Am I making chicken? This isn't the point of the question, is it? I would take I'm going to take lemons this year.
I have actually, this would be a good one to make a bet on, because next round Davos takes on Sansa Stark.
Who do you want to take in this?
I will be voting for Davos, but honestly, just my gut is saying that I think this is Sansa's year to win. If I had to put money on who would win, I think it's Sansa. But I will be voting for Davos. And sorry, please don't at me. Please don't blacklist me or block me. I'm sorry, guys. I really want Davos to win, because I'm in the camp of he made it so far. I was devastated last year, so I really, I'll be voting for Davos as long as he's in the match. So please don't at me. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm gosh, I kind of think it's Sansa's year too. I really do. So I don't want to go against her either. Davos
I don't want to be boring though. For the sake of the podcast, we gotta kind of be opposing sides. But
I can take, Davos has been there 4 years in a row. It's a good bet still. Vegas lines would probably take Davos. I'll take Davos, and then I'll be really annoying on Twitter pushing for Davos against Sansa.
Do we know who has the bigger win margin so far?
Davos does.
But it's only one match. That's the thing.
Yeah,
we don't have any averages.
It's only one,
you know what?
It's only one match, yeah.
Guys, I don't have this just yet. I can do this for our round 2 vote, but I think maybe we could take the win margin of whoever they defeated from round 1, right? Like the Jaehaerys margin. And see if there's anything we can do there.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. So who did Catelyn defeat? I know we don't have Catelyn. Catelyn beat Ariane Martell. Remember, that was a close one. By 11%.
Yeah, so, I'm gonna find a way.
We'll look at it.
I'm gonna do some stats on this and see if I can come up with something that might be able to give us a little bit more insight on what might happen, because this is a very interesting match, and I have no idea how it's gonna go. So, please let us know your thoughts, people, on this one, because I'm really interested.
I am too. Yeah, we'll see. You want to burn through a couple of these here? These next couple ones? All right. Meera Reed, Septon Maribald. Meera, 75.1% of the vote. I expected Meera to win. How about yourself?
Oh, definitely. I mean, come on.
I love you, Septon Maribald. Great thesis of the series, but we will see you again next year. Hope they keep him in. He is a good guy. This is Madness. Who's the bigger power stand? Who has the bigger stand power? Meera versus Dolorous Edd next round. What do you think?
I'm gonna say, this is kind of my theory. I'm gonna say Dolorous Edd on this one, because of I think he is Jon adjacent and Meera is Bran adjacent, right? As far as being Stark adjacent, and I think Jon is a better contender than Bran. So that's why I'm going for Dolorous Edd.
Ooh, that's interesting. I might take you on that one too. I think Meera wins.
All right.
There you go.
Let's remember it this time.
I'll listen back to it and actually write it down.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to all of them and write it down, and then you'll just come. You'll have a huge bar tab to fill out from me. We did have a tweet from Benioff and Weiss on this one of our favorite accounts now on Twitter, who said, When we were casting for Mira Reed, George specifically asked us to look at actresses who appeared around Kit Harington's age and who had dark curly hair and would look convincing wielding Valyrian steel. George told us why at the time, but we kind of forgot, so we just wrote her off. Which sounds about accurate. Moving into the next one here. I was surprised by this one. Varys versus Rohan Weber. Guys, we voted off Corlys. If we voted off Corlys, I'm sorry, I'm getting too upset on the podcast. The whole point, if we were going to vote off Corlys Velaryon, was to push Rohan at least to the next round, and then we voted for Varys. Varys did win this one, kind of a slim margin, 54.4% of the vote. He had an 8.8% margin, so he's very likely to move out next round, under that 10% mark. But I thought Rohan would win this one, but I think we bet on this one. You took Varys, didn't you? Yeah. Darn.
Cha-ching, baby!
There's $10 into the drink bucket, huh?
Yeah, wait. Here, I'm gonna go. I spear your wallet. What? Gotcha. You know what? I really hope that we just end up even on this.
Me too. Maybe like 10. I'll feel really bad if I look over this and I'm like, oh fuck, I owe Christina $150.
Yeah, right. I mean, you know what? Maybe I'd make you pay me in some kind of way. Manual labor. It's like, hey Kyle, I gotta move. You want to help?
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Can I just write a check, please?
Nope. No. No. All right. Next. So next round, will the Dragon's Mummer finally unseat a trueborn Targ? Varys versus Rhaenyra Targaryen.
I think it's the historical character issue. You take Varys?
Yeah.
I'm going to take Rhaenyra. I'm going to double down on my Varys bet. I'm going to end up hating Varys by the end of this. All right. I'll take Rhaenyra. She does have a much higher win margin, 52.6% through 2 rounds, over Varys at 8.8%. So, we'll fucking see. I have to read this tweet because it was the funniest tweet of the entire tournament. Again, from @AmyGatehouse. I'm sorry. They have too many funny tweets to pick from. But Sam did post, I asked my Dothraki friend which spider he was voting for. He just shrieked and ran away, though, because he suffers from arachnophobia.
Oh my gosh.
Best joke of the entire tournament.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yep.
I hear a lot of puns between.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time traveling with the Z's from History of Westeros last year, and I heard a lot of puns. Then I immediately, go back home, and I'm with, Brian Edelon, who's my boyfriend, and no, it's actually really great. I love that. I'm going to send it to both of them. I'm going to send this tweet to both of them because, wow. That's a great one.
That is a good
By arachnophobia, it's ARAK, aka the
arachnophobia. Even pause the show here. That's a great pun. Well done.
Yeah.
Well
golf
done.
Claps.
Yeah, golf claps for that pun. Good job. We then had Barristan Selmy versus Robb Stark. Robbie Stark took this one, 64.7% of the vote, 29.4% margin, just like we expected here. Robb is a competitor in this tournament. I do think ultimately, I don't know how Robb would potentially make it to the end, right? I think Robb kind of once he runs into an Arya or a Sansa or a Davos or whoever it is, actually he's in the Warriors bracket, isn't he? So. Actually moving into that, I guess next round he has Brynden Tully. I actually kind of think he's going to win that, don't you?
Yeah, same. Let me look up who he's facing after. Who he could possibly.
Brienne. It's Brienne.
Yeah, see, I think Brienne will. It's Brienne. She still has to take on. Come on. No, I'm just kidding. She still has to take on Loras. It's definitely going to be Loras. No, I'm just kidding. That's not. So. Yeah, I think Robb he does so well against, pretty minor competitors.
Right.
I think he would beat a Sirio, even like beloved minor, but like when he gets up against somebody, a point of view character or I'd like to see Rob versus Catelyn, to be honest.
Me too. That's a great example because that's actually a fantastic example because Catelyn is the point of view so often for Rob. She's the main point of view for Rob. And I know George has said that, one of his biggest regrets writing the book is that he didn't write Rob as a point of view. And
I think that was great, though, because
I enjoy it. Yeah.
I like that there wasn't a perspective on any of the 5 kings.
Yeah.
Right? You never got in any of their heads. So right. I thought that was a great way to do it. But yeah, I guess it's one of those things where maybe kind of like the Melisandre way, where they could have been like 1 chapter would have been kind of cool.
Give him 1, yeah.
Yeah, just so you can answer some of the questions like what were his wolf dreams like? Yeah. How much was he cognizant of his control of Grey Wind, right? And his warg abilities. Like, I think Rob was probably at the time the greatest of the Stark wargs.
Yeah, probably at the time, yeah.
I mean, even still, because Jon still doesn't really get it, and Arya's just understanding it.
Yeah.
I think Rob was the first Stark child to, I guess not Bran. Bran FML. Sorry, I guess I didn't really count him. Whoops.
Well, but even considering Bran's very young, so he doesn't fully grasp even just himself because of his age. Whereas Rob is going into battle and Rob is legitimately fighting a war with this direwolf that we hear all the stories about Grey Wind, right? And you have to imagine Rob's feeling those emotions. And I would love. So you know what? Maybe I do want Rob as a point of view because it would be really interesting to see exactly, what those thoughts look like. But that being said, I love having him not be a point of view for the reason of, when he goes off to the west and it's more of this legendary tale that we hear. It's that much more legendary just hearing it as opposed to actually seeing it, right? Sometimes not seeing the answer is more interesting than getting the firsthand account, right? So,
yeah, and it was. I think it adds to kind of you see him through Catelyn, and you almost his death is more powerful to me in that way because you're almost feeling that mother's grief, right?
Right. Yeah. I definitely think that the Red Wedding through Catelyn, I would never want to change it through Catelyn's perspective. I think it's better that way because of, in a large part, that mother's grief. So yeah, I don't think that that's a bad part of it at all. We have another Benioff and Weiss tweet here. At his audition, we asked the actor who will not be named our standard screening questions. Have you read any of the books? Do you love them? We only cast him as Barristan Selmy because he gave the answer we wanted from everyone. What books? Self-righteous nerd lied to us.
Oh gosh, yeah, and that's just indicative. I know, indicative. I meant it's like evoking and indicative together. Yeah. I'm making up words, baby. But it's one of those days. But yeah, it's the fact that the actor who played Barristan Selmy was very upset that he was written off the show because he was a book reader and wanted to kind of portray Barristan's journey, and he's like, "What the hell? I'm killed in a back alley slut," right?
And he had just become at that point a point of view character, just in A Dance with Dragons and moving into Wind. So
yeah.
Sorry, Barristan.
But I guess, do you think Barristan's a fake ass bitch?
Is he gonna? So this question that Jeff has put onto the fandom, is he going to turn on Dany? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know. The more and more, I like the arguments for both sides. I guess if I had to answer today the question that you're asking me, I'm gonna say no. Not in the way that I think is being argued, but
yeah, I could see him. I guess
I could see it. That's the thing.
She might push him. Well, since she's embracing more of the fire and blood, right? And we think we're gonna get a darker Dany.
Yeah.
now after her emergence from the Dothraki Sea, I could see Barristan having a kind of a personal conflict, like, should I
Yeah.
be a servant or do I do what's right for me? And maybe he chooses that path.
I
That makes
can see
sense.
that. Yeah. I just
But
wonder if Barristan will die prior to Danny getting to that
yeah.
point. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
hard to say at this point. If Danny does come back and Barristan survives the sack of Marine and he's still there, which I guess he's a point of view character in Dance, so maybe that's why George put him there. That's the entire argument, right? Is that he's going to be our eyes on Danny turning and that he will turn on her. That argument is strong. So maybe I would change my mind there, but
Yeah,
gosh,
and you know what? This just popped up in my head, but thinking about, Barristan's kind of, well, you think of like, okay, we get a view into characters that aren't the character. So, you could see like Barristan kind of being the eyes on Danny until Tyrion comes into play.
right,
And then
right.
Tyrion is. So who knows?
Yeah.
But
Who knows?
yes.
Let's keep moving through this. We do have, I might move through some of these a little quicker here because we have talked about a number of them, which is great, also,
Yeah,
honestly.
we're
But
finally
yeah,
narrowing in.
we are, which is awesome. I love, moving these things around and tying them in together. But we had Sansa Stark in day 12 here versus Catelyn. I will say one thing: Sansa won this with nearly 70% of the vote. This was the most votes any person has received in a single matchup this round. 1,700 votes for Sansa, 1,713 if you want to be exact. 114 more votes than the next closest person. Sansa's here to play in this tournament. She might have a really good chance here against a Catelyn Tully, a very good competitor, right? I mean, this was a big win.
Yeah, especially at like, nearly 70%. This is a big win against a, not a minor character, not a
No,
book only
yeah,
character, a big character, a big point
big
of view
character.
character. She's taking this, and I'm glad. Kudos to Davos Fingers. I mean, didn't they say that they just kind of put them in? But Sansa's got, she's gonna have to fight for the throne, right?
She
So
is.
I'm
Yeah.
excited that she's got a challenging bracket, but I definitely think that I put her, at least in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I think so as well. The one tweet we did have, this was from Sir Buckley at the Isle of Faces, who, if you haven't listened to the Isle of Faces, go give them a listen. He's a phenomenal podcaster, such a smooth, he edits it so well. Really appreciate all the work he puts into the fandom as well. But he was the first vote on this. He voted one vote for Catelyn, and he attached the screenshot. Catelyn, 100% of the vote, one vote, which I thought was funny. So Catelyn moving on from his vote, apparently.
Oh, wait, I have a
Unfortunately not.
screenshot. I was the first vote for Mance last
There you
time.
go.
Yeah, I should send that to you.
You should. That'll be on the panel. Just one vote for Mance. 100%.
It's over, baby. Just close it down. It's done.
Just close it down.
Lady Triple has spoken.
That's right. What else do you need, really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What else do you need? Yeah. We then had Dolorous Ed versus Gendry Waters. Don't at me over Gendry Waters. We talked about Ed earlier. Ed did win this one, 64.7% of the vote. A Jon adjacent character here. Yeah, Ed's one of those fan favorites. He's not quite Nimble Dick or anything, right? But Ed's a fan favorite.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's got like him, Mira, Nimble Dick. I don't know if there's any other ones that are just like specifically like Song of Madness. People stand them really hard. So I love how that culture's evolved, and I wish the best for Dolorous Ed. He's got great quotes in the book that are really funny. So love him.
Yeah, your ship's not like to sink. Ships only sink when I'm on them. I think he says to Sam in Feast. So, yeah. And we did have a tweet from Professor Castle, again, at Sir Buckley from Isle of Faces. Go listen to Isle of Faces. Who tweeted, "Who would I want as a jogging partner? Hilarious though it is, I feel like he's kind of going to slow me down. Meanwhile, this Gendry kid is super fast if you put a wall in front of him, apparently. Plus, I just got to do it for the No Dad Club. Gendry wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, Gendry. Next matchup, we did have Roose Bolton versus Rhaenyra Targaryen. Rhaenyra's kind of putting together. Look, I get she hasn't had the stiffest of competition yet in this tournament, but easy win for her again. She got 66.7% of the vote, 33.4% margin. She's one of our higher totals here in total margin so far, and I think next round she's got one that she might be able to win. Oh, it's Varys. We bet on it earlier. Yeah.
Yes.
So we've already made our decision on this one. Yeah. I'm going to take Rhaenyra. You'll take Varys. I'll eventually be right about Varys losing is the thing. But yeah, I think Fire and Blood will continue to be more and more popular, the longer we go into time. Eventually, House of the Dragon is going to come out, I hope. And that's one of the things, just to go super meta. I know we're running a little long here, but fuck it, whatever. We're in quarantine, right? People are listening to podcasts. The Fire and Blood show, House of the Dragon, will eventually come out, and it's going to change things. We're going to have these characters on television, and that's going to be cool for a lot of reasons. One, it's fun to see literature brought into a different medium. Not even because we might like it, because a lot of the times we don't, right? We pick apart Game of Thrones consistently. But you know what? We still love the show. We still love watching it. And House of the Dragon is going to be similar, but it's still fun to see it in a different medium. And we're going to have these characters like Rhaenyra, like Alysanne, eventually, I do hope, that hit the television screen and we get to look at in a different light, in a light of a different media. And I'm excited for that. And I know one of the things Christina and I, we do these surveys and things, and that is a little bit easier to run when we have something like a television show, and we're excited to get to do those things, right? So just wanted to, I guess I'm saying thank you, Rhaenyra, is what I'm saying here. But did you want to read this tweet regent that we had here for the week, Christina?
Yes, we have, this is by Leech Lord somebody. Roose Bolton is a postmodernist intellectual, quote. But this person, I don't know who they are, but I give them the think bonus of the week because they're really digging deep into these matchups in a way that I haven't thought about it, and this is one. So Roose is a sick character foil for Eddard Stark and shows the dark side of Northern social identity. He really makes Jon and Theon's character arcs a lot richer and shows the type of person Eddard could have been, which I thought was really interesting. I never thought about like Roose in comparison and how he kind of is a mirror for some of the other, or not even a mirror, but a whatever, like the sun reflector. He enhances kind of the other Northern characters around him.
Yeah, he's definitely a foil for Ned Stark, and for, and I think this is good writing by George, that he shows the North are the, if you want to really like delve it down into ones and zeros, the North are the good guys, right? Ned Stark and the Starks, those are the good guys. But it doesn't end there, right? We do have the two sides of the coin, even within the North, where you have Roose, who is the other side of that coin. Where you can see yes, Northern politics are good and they're honorable and all this stuff, but Roose still exists, and you see what the Boltons are. So I think that's really good writing, and it's really interesting, and that's why Roose is in this tournament, because it is interesting to look at and think about. So yeah, you pulled this tweet. I thought it was a really good tweet to pull. So is it who is Rhaenyra? Oh, it's Varys. That's what we talked about. Yeah, Rhaenyra versus Varys. Yeah. Then we had, I liked how these ones matched up. Do you want to take this one, the Arthur Dayne versus Brynden Tully?
Sure, yeah. In our last matchup, we have Arthur Dayne versus Brynden Tully. Arthur Dayne and the Blackfish. So the Blackfish came out on top with 58.2% of the vote, a total of 2,186, which was more than I kind of thought, right, for the votes.
Yeah.
Brynden had 1,272 and Arthur had 914. And this was one again where I wasn't sure where we were going. Actually, I think I had Arthur Dayne on this one, and I was surprised.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, I did. So I guess that we even out.
There you go.
So yeah, I had Arthur Dayne on this one, and I was really kind of surprised at how this went. But I do have to say, maybe Stark adjacent, and this actually is inspiring me throughout the tournament to kind of look at these adjacent characters and see how
Yeah.
they're doing. Right, if you had to like pick a house that they're adjacent with, or all of that, because I guess Arthur Dayne would be Targaryen adjacent
Right.
in
Yeah, he would
this.
be.
So, yeah, Brynden Tully won with, a 16.4% margin. And our tweet regent of this round is a swaff tweet through, who has great comments throughout. Love them. We have Arthur Dayne isn't a character at this point. So much as an almost mythic figure, despite being a recent mythic figure. Whereas the Blackfish is a character, and a great one, as well as being legendary. Vote Brynden Tully, which I thought kind of summed it up.
Yeah. Yeah. This was an interesting one where Arthur Dayne's interesting because he's this hyper legendary character. Arthur Dayne dies at age like 23. Like he's not like old when he died. Like he's incredibly
That's like
young.
how old you were when we started podcasting.
It's how old I still am. 23 currently, still forever. It's 24. 24 again this year. You can send Venmo me. No, I'm just kidding. But and somebody's gonna check the wiki, and it's actually like 27 or something. But anyway, the point is, Arthur Dayne was not, old. He was extremely young at the point of his death, but he is remembered, and rightfully so. I'm not talking shit on Arthur Dayne. Don't at me over talking shit on Arthur Dayne. But he's certainly a legend more than he maybe even is what he contributed. Brynden Tully's maybe not quite the opposite. I mean, Brynden Tully's much older than Arthur Dayne was at the time of his death, and he's fought through the War of Five Kings to being the last stronghold, the second to last stronghold, Tytos Blackwood, what's up, in A Feast for Crows. I believe that's correct, but you can at me on that incorrection as well. Anyway, the whole point of this, really interesting matchup between both characters who are strategic and great warriors. I did vote Arthur in this. That's what I see. But honestly, I could go either way on them. Brynden is up against. I do like the matchup that it proposes. Brynden versus Robb Stark. Brynden Tully was, one of Robb Stark's, most trusted advisors in the War of the Five Kings. Now he's up against his king. So I do like that. Those were all of our matchups. We're at the halfway point of round 2. We do have some stats to go over here, but before we do pop into that, I know for us, what's going to be nice is we are now going to move down into lesser characters, Christina. Does that sound good?
Oh, yes.
Lesser total amount of characters.
Yeah, so, it just, again, and the further, just time, time is a great thing to put on your x-axis, right? Everything's mapped out over time. So over time, things will stabilize our metrics. And that's what I love about just the concept of a bracket. And now that, I'm going to be at home a lot, not doing much. I had a couple, my last social things for the foreseeable future in my calendar this weekend. So I apologize that, I don't have a bunch of cool stuff right now, but I'm really looking forward to playing with this. And what's great about a bracket, and I'm going to put together some visualizations for our listeners and Twitteros soon, but is a bracket is a contained unit. And so that allows us to model things. You create a model because it's its own ecosystem. And you can use, I just love playing around with the different metrics like total number of votes, win percentage, because really all we're getting for each round, we're getting the percent and, this percent, and the number of votes. And you can do so much with it. And that's what I love about stats. Welcome to my TED Talk. But yeah, I love that about stats, and I cannot wait to just play with this and visualize like what's happening here and how that describes like how we feel about these characters as a whole, because it is one thing to look at a character by itself and analyze them, or even like within the context of the story. But when you're comparing characters that you are not even in relation to each other, or you're comparing characters that are adjacent to different stories, like, you know, Stark adjacent versus Targaryen adjacent storylines. You're really, it's very interesting to me how that affects our perceptions and how we're more likely to choose one person over the other, like a Mira versus Ed, because, you know, we kind of like the Castle Black storyline more versus the Bran storyline. Because when you put the numbers, the 2,000 people who are voting, it really shows, you know, as a group, as a fandom, like how we really feel about things. And I think it's very interesting. I cannot wait to see how just the number of people voting in each tournament, and how strongly they feel about it, how we can start to predict these later matchups. When you get to rounds 4, you know, plus, it's going to be really interesting. And I believe that we'll be able to kind of predict what might happen.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I'm already seeing, I was kind of looking ahead at some of the metrics and already kind of feeling like I had a good idea at certain matchups. But again, we're going to see how they stabilize. And that's really part of the reason that we're here. You know, the main part is that we just love going through it. You know, we like participating in it. And I'll cut it off here. I have some other things that we can go over, but we'll just save it for you know, we have the rest of this round to go over still in a couple of days. So, but you know, really the thing is, we have loved going through this tournament with everybody. We're both paying very close attention to it. You know, doing all these stats for everybody and just enjoying it with all of you guys, with Davos Fingers, with the fandom, you know, especially with things going on. It's been a nice distraction to get to focus on this. So, you know, we're really looking forward to the rest of the tournament. It's going to continue to get more and more interesting as we have characters that you're really invested in, where, you know, it might sound easy with some of these votes to pick a certain character, but then when you have Arya versus Ned, it gets a little bit more difficult, doesn't it? So we will see how that goes forward. That's pretty much all that I had here tonight. Christina, I'll give you final thoughts here.
My final thoughts are, I'm really excited for the rest of the roundups. I'm excited for the math. I'm excited for the content. I'm excited for every single one of your comments. And we appreciate you, listeners. Thanks for listening with us. And everybody stay safe. And, you know, do the best you can in these times.
Yeah, have to agree. Everybody stay safe out there.